Hello, this is Donna Miller, and this is the Vote Voice podcast. You can visit us at www.votevoice.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. And I just thank you so much for being here. Vote Voice is a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are dedicated to getting out the vote. I want to thank you for all your messages of encouragement and even your messages of criticism. If there's anything you need me to know, just please leave me a message. Anything you want to say, any opinion, I welcome it. Today, we're going to talk about democracy and voting. First of all, I want to go and we're going to talk about what is a democracy. A democracy is a form of government in which the people have the authority to choose their governing legislators. The decision on who is considered part of the people and how authority is shared among or delegated by the people have changed over time and at different speeds in different countries. But they have included more and more of the inhabitants of all countries. Cornerstones of democracy are freedom of assembly and speech, inclusiveness, equality, membership, consent, voting, right to life, and minority rights. Now, there are 4 elements of democracy. Okay, the 4 elements are: 1, a political system for choosing and replacing the government through free and fair elections. 2, the active participation of the people as citizens in politics and civic life. 3, the protection of the human rights of all citizens. And 4, the rule of law, in which the laws and procedures apply equally to all citizens. I want to talk about voting. Now, voting is a method for a group, such as a meeting or an electorate, in order to make a collective decision or express an opinion, usually following discussions, debates, or election campaigns. Democracies elect holders of high office by voting. Residents of a place represented by an elected official are called constituents. And these constituents who cast the ballot for those chosen candidates are called voters. There are different systems for collecting votes, but while many of the systems used in decision making can also be used in electoral system, any which cater for proportional representation can be used in elections. Now, in smaller organizations, voting can occur in different ways. Formally via ballot to elect others, for example, within a workplace, to elect members of political associations, or to choose roles for others. Informal voting could occur as a spoken agreement or a verbal gesture like a raised hand or electronically. You know, the way they do it on the talent shows. Democracy and voting go hand in hand. We need to be sure that we protect our democracy. If we don't have a democracy, what do we have? Well, let's look at what a republic is. Okay? Now, it is said, let's go for a second to what the Washington Post had an article, okay, that's dated October the 19th, 2019. And it says, a republic if you can keep it. Did Ben Franklin really say? Impeachment Day's favorite quote. Now, the ideal of where this comes from was, let's see, back in 1909, okay? I'm sorry, back in 1906, okay? The Yale Book of Quotations. Now, it first appeared in 1906 in the American Historical Review, okay? The review was publishing for the first time the notes of James McHenry, a Maryland delegate to the Constitutional Convention. Now, this is what he wrote. A lady asked Dr. Franklin, "Well, doctor, what have we got? A republic or a monarchy?" A republic, replied the doctor, if you can keep it. Okay? Now, they say that the location was outside of Independence Hall. Okay? Now, as many quotes and as many great people in history, okay, Dr. Ben Franklin was coming out, apparently, out of the Constitution, out of Independence Hall, and someone asked him the question. It makes sense. Now, we have to remember that they didn't have the media that we have today. And there's lots of things that people say, Churchill said, and other people said. We don't always have it bound, okay? But we can pretty much say that that's probably what Franklin said. It's reported by someone who was there. And this is by Gillian Brockell. So let's talk about what a republic is. And these things are important because the reason why I'm taking the time to read you these definitions and to tell you where this source of information is coming from is because there's so many, terrible alternative facts. People are propagating a lie. The riot in Washington, the day after the riot, people were already lying about who actually was at the riot. Rioters are trying to hide from being found. I heard today that one rioter actually threatened his own children with harm if they said anything. So we have to make sure that with people with alternative facts and people who, even now, if there's people on social media trying to change the narrative of what happened during the riots. And it is important to me that I let you know that I'm not making anything up, that even though I'm here to stress voting, I think that it's important that we see how voting, democracy, and our republic are intertwined. The reason why everyone was rioting on the Capitol is because there was a lie that went out that the election was not fair, that the election was not free, and that millions of people's vote should just be discounted because one man said it should. Let me tell you what a Republican is. What a republic is, A republic is a form of government in which power is held by the people and their elected representatives. In republics, the country is considered a public matter, not the private concern or property of the rulers. The primary position of power within a republic are attained through democracy or a mix of democracy with oligarchy or autocracy, rather than being unalterable, occupied by any given family, lineage, or group. With modern republicanism, it has become the opposing form of government to a monarchy, and therefore a modern republic has no monarchy as head of state. Let's look at what oligarchy is. Oligarchy is a form of power structure in which power rests with a small number of people. These people may be distinguished by nobility, wealth, education, corporate, religious, political, or military control. Such states are often controlled by families who pass their influence from one generation to another. Now, the autocracy is a system of government in which supreme power over a state is concentrated in the hands of one person, whose decisions are subject to neither external legal restraints nor regularized mechanisms of popular control. It appears to me that this is what was taking place on January 6th, or attempted to take place. The ideal that one person, that everyone marched on the Capitol and destroyed the Capitol and people's lives were lost for the ideal and ambition of one person. This is not our democracy. We need, and I've said this before, as voters, to make sure that we understand who we're voting for. We need to make sure that even on the school board level, whatever your ballot says you're voting for, you need, or whoever the ballot says you're voting for, okay? We need to know who we're putting in office. We do this, and I've had a podcast in the past about voter suppression, podcasts in the past about effectively and respectfully asking a candidate a question. We need to know what the candidate stands for. Now, the League of Women Voters puts out an information packet about the candidate and what the candidate believes. That's one way. If I know with COVID, we do not have access to meet and greets like we used to, but there's plenty of Zoom meetings. Make sure that you, if you can, when things are better with the COVID, attend coffee hours if you can. Make sure that you attend to Zoom meetings of candidates that want to hold office. And even we need to make sure that the people we put in office are living up to the expectations that we have for them and their promises, no matter what level of government they have been elected to. Okay? It's important that we vote intelligently, that we vote for someone who has character. This is important. No longer can we just put someone in office and think that if we never see them again, it'll be okay because they're doing their job. We can't assume that anymore. We need to make sure that we somehow find out who we're voting for. The League of Women Voters is one place that sends candidates a questionnaire and gives them the opportunity to tell us who they are and what they stand for. And I've said this in the past. No answer is an answer. If you have a candidate that cannot answer a questionnaire about who they are, unless something really interfered with that out of their control, that is an answer. If a candidate cannot if a candidate cannot answer a question that you put to them and they have no intentions of answering it, that is an answer. If a candidate cannot show up for a candidate forum and they do not have a really good reason, or they do not send a representative, many people will send a representative to meetings and civic meetings and candidate forums. And that's good. That's okay. We don't mind that. The most important thing for us as voters is that we need to start taking the responsibility as a voter to knowing who our candidates are. And also, as a voter, we need to start, even if it's virtual, attending our city council meetings. We need to be aware of what's going on in our cities, in our state, and in our federal government. And we need to make sure that our elected officials are doing what they said they were going to do, and that what they're doing is good for the country. Now, we need to have respect for one another. We're not the same. Our politics aren't the same, and we can disagree politely. My mom used to say, I might not believe in what you believe, but I will protect your right to believe that. Okay? We don't need to bully one another, harm one another, lie to one another, fight with one another, or call each other dirty names. But we also cannot act like there is no truth to our past. And unfortunately today, there's people with alternative facts and lies, and they want you to believe those lies. And these are the things that we must, as a voter, we must have a truth. Remember, we're the first line of confirmation. Remember that we're voting for someone that in 50 years, that person could become president. It doesn't matter about color. It doesn't matter about male or female. What matters is that person's character. And it's up to us on our grassroots level to respectfully and with kindness, but earnestly, to ask people, what are you going to do for your constituents? What is your vision for the future? And this is something that as voters we cannot lay down anymore. Okay? I think that we must also keep up with our voter registration. You know, if you think about it, when we move, we inform the post office, we inform our bill collectors, we inform our relatives, we inform the utility companies. Our job has to know that we moved. We inform every single person. We tell our friends. We tell strangers, oh, I just moved. But you know what? We forget to inform the Secretary of State or let the city clerk know that we've moved and we need to register in the county that we've just moved into or the city. And even if we stay in the same city or county, we need to let the city clerk know that we have a new address. Let the city clerk know if our telephone number has changed. I want everyone out there that when you make your list of who to inform that you've moved, make sure that after you have completed your move, okay, or before, if you have an address, call up the city clerk. Find out from the Secretary of State. Go on the Secretary of State's website. See if there is a way for you to change your address. We need to make sure that we keep our registration, our voter registration, current. Make sure that if your telephone number changes, we do that. We tell the bank, okay? Our voter registration is just as important as every other entity we have in our life, okay? So when you tell the bank, when you tell everyone you've moved, make sure that the Secretary of State has an updated registration for you, okay? And the Secretary of State websites should work fine. And if not, you can just go straight to the city clerk's office in the place that you've moved to or in the place that you're living now and let them know your address has changed and your telephone number has changed. And this is important for us to keep our registration current, okay? So let's have that new mindset that we'll make sure that that gets done. Lastly, I just want to say that we need to love one another and be kind to one another. And even you may never have a long conversation with someone, but let's start on our street, okay? Do the best we can. We can't force someone to be kind, and we cannot force someone to smile or to wave, but it starts with us. Let us move forward. Tomorrow is the inauguration. Today is Tuesday, the 19th. Tomorrow is Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. And let's have a new day, okay? Let's keep our wits about us and our intelligence, okay? There's much that we must do. There's much that we need to be responsible for to move into our future and the future of our country for our children. And that future is a democracy and a strong republic and a voter who makes voting their lifestyle. Let's start on your street, okay? Every day is a new day. And so we're going to make sure that we are kind to our neighbors. That if we see our neighbor, a head gesture, a wave, kindness, okay? It doesn't matter what a person's politics are, all right? A person has a right to their politics, but they don't have a right to alternative facts. And we just need to make sure that we vote, that we ask the candidate effective and respectful questions, that we keep our voter registration current, okay? When you move, make sure you tell your city clerk. Let's make sure we make voting our lifestyle. Let's encourage each other to vote. And let's make sure that we vote in every election. I don't care how insignificant you think an election is. If there's an election in your district, make sure you vote, okay? I just want to say that we're going to be strong, and we're going to be kind, and we're going to make voting our lifestyle. And in doing so, we're going to make sure that good and decent and kind and people who are dedicated to the country, to serving the people and protecting our democracy and protecting our republic and not trying to protect a person. We want to make sure that we have a constitution that is strong and that the person understands that we expect them to follow the Constitution. We expect them to follow the rule of law. We expect them to do what is good for the country, not to have an autocracy. This is what we now know what an autocracy is. One person in power, above the law, above other people, above the opinion of the people. No one is above the law. And we are going to make sure with our voting that we put people into office that are good for the country, good for our cities, good for our state, good for our future, and good for our children. I want to thank everybody for joining me. And I just want to leave you with this thought. And I hope that it uplifts you. I just want you to know this. God is working out things you haven't even prayed for yet. Because God is the God who works ahead of time. You haven't made it there yet, but God has already done it. Okay? And I just want us to remember we're going to let God work. Okay? We're not going to block our blessings. When God is working on your behalf, we're going to be patient. Okay? And I just want you to know that God's plan is always the best. Sometimes the process is painful and hard, but we mustn't forget that when God is silent, He's doing something for you. I want us to have calm. I want us to have peace. I want us to have love. And we need that. Okay? My name is Donna Miller. And I want to just give you guys real quickly. I thought I was going to go, but let me just do this real quick. The 7 rules of life. Number 1, let it go. Never ruin a good day by thinking about a bad yesterday. Number 2, ignore them. Don't listen to other people. Live a life that's empowering to you. Number 3, give it time. Time heals everything. Number 4, don't compare. The only person you should try to beat is the person you were yesterday. Number 5, stay calm. It's okay not to have everything figured out. Know that in time you'll get there. Number 6, it's on you. Only you are in charge of your happiness. And number 7, smile. Life is short. Enjoy it while you have it. Isn't that wonderful? These are the 7 rules of life. Isn't that wonderful? That is great. Listen, everybody. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we start a new era. Let's take what we have left and move into the future. That is something T.D. Jakes said. And it really helped me after my mom died. We can't change the past. We can't change what has happened over the last 4 years. We can't change what happened on January the 6th. But we can pick up our bed and walk. Let's go into the future with calmness, with a smile, and with love. This is Donna Miller, Vote Voice Podcast. I thank you for listening. Visit us on www.votevoice.com. Read the Vote Voice newsletter. I've got a blog. I'm going to keep it up. And you guys just have a wonderful day. And God bless everyone.